Tonight, you begin a journey not across landscapes, but across time itself. This is not a tale of fantasy or fiction, but of the very real, quiet mysteries that shape the way your body moves, your heart beats, your memories form, and your life unfolds. You'll float gently through the science of time. How astronauts age more slowly in orbit. How your mind bends minutes into memories. And how the universe tells time in the language of stars and silence. This is a story about clocks that tick without hands, about particles that stay connected across galaxies, and about you, a living moment in the long breath of the cosmos. Each chapter is a soft exploration, calm, poetic, meditative, a space to fall asleep to, or simply feel a little more at peace with the passing of time. So lie back, close your eyes, and let time begin to stretch. You lie still. Your body settles into the weight of the bed, and your mind begins to loosen its grip on the day. In the quiet, you can feel it, the soft thump of your heart, patient and steady. It beats like a drum inside your chest, not for noise, but for rhythm. This is your first clock. Long before you ever saw a ticking second hand, your heart was already counting for you. It whispered to your cells, here is now. And now. And now. Close your eyes. Imagine your heartbeat as a lantern swinging slowly in a dark cave, casting soft ripples of time along the walls. Each pulse is a promise that time is flowing, that you are here. You don't notice it during the noise of the day, but now, in stillness, you become its listener again. Your breath joins in. Inhale. Exhale. Another quiet clock. Your lungs do not count seconds, but sensations, how long a sigh lasts, how the body loosens when oxygen arrives. And your thoughts, those drifting clouds above everything, move in their own tempo. Some nights they run ahead of time, other nights, they lag behind. But tonight, they slow to match your breath. And so you realize, you are not just in time, you make time. Your body is its own timekeeper. Your organs, your hormones, your cycles, they all turn and twist in synchrony, like dancers in a slow, invisible waltz. You are a clockwork of flesh, delicate and precise. But here's something strange. If someone else lies in another room, still and breathing just like you, their heart might beat slightly faster. Or slower. Their breath might be shorter, their mind quieter. And even though the same minute passes for you both, it doesn't feel the same. Already, time is becoming personal. Now imagine this. You rise from your bed, leave Earth behind, and drift upward. The air thins. The planet shrinks beneath your feet. You're not dreaming, you're traveling through time. Not in the fantasy of machines, but in the quiet truth of physics. Above Earth, something begins to shift. Time, that soft stream you've always floated in, begins to stretch. Your heartbeat remains steady, but compared to the ones below, it's slower. Not because you're tired. Not because you're sleepy. Because you're moving faster. This is where the story of Einstein begins to hum in your ear. He told us something quietly radical: time does not tick the same everywhere. It bends. It stretches. It dances differently depending on where you are, how fast you're going, and how deep you are in gravity's embrace. Time is not a ruler. It is not a drumbeat. It's more like honey, thick and golden, flowing in strange ways when stirred. On Earth, we think of time as steady, like rainfall. We mark it with calendars, clocks, alarms. But in space, in motion, it becomes elastic. Think of a train speeding past. To those watching from the platform, everything on the train seems faster. But for those inside, nothing feels odd. The same is true of time. When you travel fast, truly fast, near the speed of light, your own time slows down, even if you don't feel it. Imagine you're an astronaut orbiting Earth. To you, the minutes feel normal. You wake, eat, work, sleep. But when you return after months, the clocks on Earth tell a different story. You are just a little bit younger than everyone else. Not in spirit, but in time. This is not science fiction. It's time dilation. A soft warping of time that becomes visible only when we look with precision, with math, with care. You have always lived under the illusion of shared time, that everyone's moment is the same. But tonight, you feel that illusion begin to fade. You realize that your heartbeat, your breath, your thoughts, they are local time zones of the body. And out there, beyond the atmosphere, clocks run differently. Time is no longer a single thread. It's a weave, looping, stretching, overlapping in curious ways. Even light has a part to play. It travels at the same speed always, the cosmic limit. But if you approach that speed, your own time slows. That means, if you fly close to the speed of light for what feels like a year, a decade may have passed for the people you left behind. Let that settle in your chest like warm tea. The faster you move, the slower you age, not by trickery, but by nature. This is the truth astronauts live with, though their ships are far slower than light, the effect is real, even if small. Their time drips more slowly, like dew from a colder leaf. And here's the tender irony. To escape the rush of time, you must move. To become younger than your twin, you must leave them. Stillness keeps you in sync. Motion unbinds you. Now you return to your bed. The voyage ends for tonight. Your body is still, your clock's in harmony again. But you are changed, if only in thought. You've learned that time is not as fixed as you once believed. It listens to speed. It listens to gravity. And sometimes, it listens to the loneliness of space. Your eyes begin to close. The beat inside your chest keeps counting, not just seconds, but wonder. A gentle ticking that now feels less like measurement and more like music. But what if time flows not just slower with motion, but also bends near stars? What if gravity itself can pull on time's fabric, stretching it like silk in the wind? Let's drift a little further. To the places where the stars weigh heavy and the minutes lose their shape. You drift again. Not by feet or wings, but by thought, soft and slow like a feather caught in twilight wind. Space unfolds before you, silent, dark, endless. But tonight, it is not the stars that call to you. It is time itself. You remember water. Rivers, calm and winding. Some flow quick and restless, others thick and slow, meandering through stone. Time, you realize now, is not a straight line. It's a river. And just like water, its current shifts with the shape of the world around it. Einstein once suggested something strange. Gravity doesn't just pull on apples or planets. It pulls on time. The stronger the gravity, the slower time moves. So imagine this. You float toward a massive star. It glows like a lantern in the deep. Its gravity is immense, heavy, invisible, undeniable. As you move closer, your own clock begins to slow. Not because you're tired, but because time itself thickens near its surface, like syrup clinging to the rim of a spoon. Far from the star, the seconds race. Quick and careless, skipping over each other. But here, near the edge of gravity's grasp, they stretch. They linger. A single second near the star may take 10 to pass in a distant sky. To you, time feels normal. But to someone far away, watching you hover near the star, you are moving in slow motion. As if the universe is holding its breath. Now, stretch your mind further. Consider a planet, like Earth, resting gently in the web of gravity. Even here, gravity slows time a little. Just enough that clocks high in the mountains tick faster than clocks at sea level. It's true. Time is ever so slightly thinner the higher you go. And yet, you never feel it. It's a reminder. The most extraordinary truths are often hidden in ordinary places. Now look again at the star. It pulses. A heartbeat made of fire. You feel its pull not just on your body, but on your seconds. Your breath drags longer, your thoughts slow to a hum. You are swimming through molasses made of minutes. This is gravitational time dilation, an elegant name for the way gravity stretches time like fabric under weight. The heavier the object, the deeper the dip it makes in space-time. Like a bowling ball pressing into a soft mattress, bending it downward. Now imagine a marble, a tiny clock, rolling around that dip. It doesn't just move differently. It ticks differently. Your thoughts swirl like stardust. You wonder, if you lived near a black hole, the heaviest object of all, what would happen? And here is where the wonder deepens. Black holes are not just dense. They are cosmic wells so deep that time nearly stops at their edge. If you stood just above one, looking out at the universe, you'd see galaxies spinning quickly, stars aging fast. But for you, moments would pass like slow breaths through fog. You'd age barely at all. And if you could look in the mirror, you might see the past looking back at you. All of this, from gravity. From the silent strength that holds planets in orbit, moons in their dance. Time listens to mass. It listens to distance. It listens to where you are. Return, now, to Earth in your thoughts. To the curve of mountains, the hush of oceans, the soft pull of the ground beneath your feet. Even here, gravity nudges the flow of time. It whispers to your cells without your knowing. Your body is tuned to the tempo of the planet, a gentle ticking set to Earth's embrace. Now consider the satellites above you. Orbiting, guiding, measuring. Their clocks tick slightly faster than those on the ground. Because they float farther from Earth's pull, time moves more freely for them. And if we didn't correct their clocks, just by a few billionths of a second, our GPS systems would send us miles off course. That's how delicate time is. That's how much gravity matters. Pause here. Breathe. You've learned that time bends. That it can be stretched and twisted not just by motion, but by mass. That near a star or a planet, even a moment can change its shape. You begin to see the world differently now, not just as space filled with objects, but as a stage where time flows at many speeds. There is no single, universal now. There is only your now. And someone else's now. Both true, both real, just different rivers flowing through different valleys. And this brings comfort, somehow. That time is not a tyrant. It is a traveler. It moves with you. It listens to where you are, how fast you're going, how deep you stand in the well of the world. Tonight, you sleep in gravity's arms. And you know that it cradles not just your bones, but your moments. It tucks time in with you. And lets your dreams drift slower in its gentle grip. But now you wonder, what if it's not just gravity that alters time? What if speed, too, has its say? What if the faster you go, the more time slips through your fingers? Let's drift now. To the edge of light. Where speed becomes a song of stillness. And your body becomes a traveler in slow time. You are moving now. Not walking. Not running. But gliding, smooth and silent, through the darkness of space. No engine roars, no wind howls. Just motion. Pure, uninterrupted motion. And with it, time begins to change. You've left the cradle of gravity behind. Now, it's speed that becomes your companion. And speed, like gravity, has a quiet influence over time. A deeper truth, humming just beneath perception. The faster you go, the slower your clock begins to tick. You feel it inside your body, not as pain or pressure, but as a strange stillness. Your heart still beats, your lungs still fill. But the rhythm of it all stretches slightly, subtly, like shadows at sunset. You are approaching the speed of light. Not touching it, for nothing with mass can ever truly reach it. But getting close. Close enough to feel the edges blur. Light travels at 299,792 kilometers per second. A number so vast, your mind can barely hold it. A speed so absolute, so woven into the fabric of the universe, that it is used not only to measure distance, but to measure time. And as you near that boundary, your time, the time inside your body, begins to thin like cool mist. Each moment lingers longer. To an observer watching you from far away, you seem to move slowly, dreamily. Your limbs rise and fall like leaves in syrup. Your hair floats, your eyes blink in soft delay. But you feel none of it. To you, your body feels the same. You breathe. You think. You move. Everything is as it has always been. This is the secret of time dilation due to speed. A soft discrepancy, invisible unless you look from the outside. To you, your journey feels quick. But when you return, the world will have changed more than you. Because your clock, your heartbeat, your life ran just a little more slowly than theirs. Now imagine this. You leave Earth on a spacecraft, traveling near light speed for 5 years. You experience those years as you always would in meals, sleep, dreams, days. But when you return, decades have passed on Earth. Your friends are older. Some are gone. The world has moved forward, while you remain gently paused. It is not a trick. It is not a glitch. It is the nature of the universe. As real and as consistent as sunrise. Your body, then, becomes a vessel of slowed time. Not in sensation, but in comparison. The faster you go, the more you drift sideways through the current of time. You, floating here in darkness, are like a stone skipping across a calm lake. But in this lake, the water stretches beneath you as you fly. And your splash lands not just farther, but later. Think of how strange and beautiful this is. To stay young, one must travel fast. But to travel fast, one must leave everything behind. Time gives and takes in equal measure. Now you think of the astronauts. Their bodies confined to metal shells, orbiting Earth at thousands of kilometers per hour. Each moment they spend up there, a little bit slower than yours. They don't notice it. But it's happening. They are younger, by mere milliseconds. For every day they circle the globe. Even our machines, satellites and probes, experience time differently. A GPS satellite moves fast and orbits high. It feels both less gravity and more speed. Two forces pulling on its clock in opposite ways. So we adjust its time carefully, balancing gravity's tug and speed's hush. So that when you check your map, your location is true. Time, then, is not just a feeling. It is a landscape. A terrain shaped by mass, by motion, by proximity. You do not just pass through it. You carve through it, with every step, every breath, every mile. And light? Light moves through this terrain untouched. It doesn't age. It doesn't slow. A photon, born in the heart of a star, can travel for billions of years, and to it, no time has passed at all. Light lives at the edge of time, where clocks do not tick, where stillness and motion are the same. And you, though you can never reach that speed, can come close enough to feel its pull. You are a creature of time. But in motion, you glimpse what it means to escape it. Just a little. As you slow again, letting your imaginary ship drift into rest, you return to the familiar rhythm. Heart. Breath. Thought. But you are changed. Now you know that time isn't fixed. It listens to your motion. It bends around your journey. And you wonder, if motion can slow time, what happens when you stay still? But the world pulls time downward around you? Can gravity bend it even further? Let's descend now into the paradox of the twin you left behind. The one who stayed on Earth. The one whose clock, somehow, ticked faster than yours. Close your eyes and imagine a twin. Not just someone who looks like you, but someone who is you, in every possible way. Born seconds apart. Raised under the same sky, with the same lullabies and laughter. You share not just features, but memories, mischief, and the rhythm of time itself. Now imagine this moment of parting. You step onto a spacecraft, sleek, silent, gleaming like thought itself. And rise into the dark. Your twin stays behind, grounded in Earth's soft pull, watching you disappear into the black. Your journey is swift, a blur of starlight and engine hum. As you accelerate toward the edge of what time allows, you circle distant stars. You glide past moons of ice and dust. You float in silence, your heart beats soft beneath layers of steel and soot. You do not feel different. Time, to you, is unchanged. Your face ages, your hair grows. You sip water, you sleep, you dream. But while your minutes feel whole, something is happening behind the curtain of physics. Back on Earth, your twin lives life in full tempo. They walk through seasons, watching trees blossom and wither again. They laugh, cry, grow older. Their body begins to shift, their skin softens with age. Birthdays pass like slow rain. And then, years later, you return. Your ship glides back through the blue haze of the sky. You land. You step out. And there your twin stands. Older than you now. They smile, but it's a different smile. Familiar, yes, but softened by time you haven't touched. Their hands show lines you do not yet carry. Their eyes hold years you didn't feel. And for the first time, you realize something quietly astonishing. Though you shared the same beginning, you now live in different ends of time. This is the twin paradox. A thought experiment made real in equations. And, in pieces, in the quiet clocks of spaceflight. It began with Einstein, who said, time is not absolute. It moves differently for different observers, depending on their speed, their gravity, their path. And in this paradox, one twin travels fast, near the speed of light, while the other remains still on Earth. Because of that speed, the traveler experiences less time. Their clock ticks slower. Their cells age slower. Their body rests in a shallower pool of time. It's not magic. It's not even mystery. It's the way time stretches. The way the river slows when you move fast through it. You did not cheat time. You simply move differently through it. To understand this, imagine two paths through the same forest. Your twin walks the dirt trail, slowly, steadily. You, in contrast, leap through the trees in a straight line. You both start and end in the same place. But you've taken different journeys. You've used time differently. And so, the universe gives you different amounts of it. Back in the real world, we've seen tiny reflections of this paradox. Astronauts who've spent months in orbit return just a tiny bit younger than their Earthbound peers. Fractions of seconds younger. But younger all the same. It's a small difference. But it's real. Measured. Undeniable. And now you wonder. What does this say about time itself? It says that time is not a universal drumbeat. It's not the same for everyone. It listens. It adapts. It bends to the curve of your path and the pace of your motion. Time, like love, can grow apart, even between twins. Think about this as you lie in bed. Two people. Same origin. Same biology. Same laugh. But only one left the planet. Only one kissed the edge of light and came back changed. And yet, neither one felt time move differently. That's the quiet miracle. Your twin felt life unfold as usual, day after day. And so did you. But the clocks, the atoms, the quiet pulse of physics. They told another story. A story of clocks disagreeing. Of moments stretching. Of two people, once perfectly in sync, now quietly out of rhythm. But there is no tragedy in this. Only beauty. Because now, you know something you didn't before. That time is not a prison. It's not rigid, or cruel, or flat. It's soft. It listens. It changes. And it can carry people in different directions. even when their hearts beat in harmony. You sit beside your twin again. You talk, you laugh. You compare stories. And though your faces no longer match, your connection is unbroken. Time may stretch, but it does not sever. As you settle into stillness, your body remembers the journey, not just of distance, but of time itself. A path not between stars, but between moments. And you wonder, if time bends with speed and curves with gravity, what happens to the clocks that orbit the Earth each day? Those tiny machines in the sky. Do they feel this too? Let's rise again. Not to travel far, but to hover gently, with satellites whispering in orbit, counting the seconds in their strange and quiet way. You wake to a sky that feels still, but far above, where the blue fades into black. Something is always moving. Dozens of satellites orbit quietly, invisible from the ground, yet deeply intertwined with your everyday life. You've used them even if you didn't notice. When you checked your phone for directions. When a plane found its way through the clouds. When your clock synchronized with atomic precision. The satellites whispered data back to Earth. And Earth listened, patiently. But tonight, you're not just a user. You're a traveler again. And your journey is upward. To meet the clocks in the sky. Close your eyes. Let your breath rise like a balloon. Imagine floating past drifting clouds. Beyond weather and wind. To the place where satellites live. The cradle of orbit. Here, in the cold silence above Earth. A satellite circles the planet every 90 minutes. Fast, light, reliable. But what matters most is its clock. Each satellite carries a highly accurate atomic clock. A heart that ticks not with beats, but with the steady rhythm of vibrating atoms. Precise, unyielding, but not immune to the curve of time. Here's the wonder. These clocks don't match ours. They run faster. Not by much, just a few millionths of a second each day. But enough to matter. Enough that, if uncorrected, your GPS would be wrong by kilometers after a single day. Why? Because time bends here too. Caught between speed and gravity. Let's unfold this slowly. The satellite is moving fast. Really fast. Nearly 14,000 kilometers per hour. And remember what Einstein taught us. Motion slows time. So from Earth's surface, we see its clock tick just a little slower. Because of its speed. But there's another pull at play. Or rather, a lack of pull. The satellite is far from Earth's center of gravity. It's floating high, where gravity's grip is looser. And that means time moves faster for it. Because deep gravity wells, like Earth's surface, slow time down. So we have two competing effects. Speed slows time. Weaker gravity speeds it up. And in the end, the gravity wins. The satellite's clock ticks faster than those on Earth. By about 38 microseconds per day. Small. Invisible. Yet essential. Without this correction, our world would fall out of sync. Planes would miss their targets. Maps would point to the wrong streets. Markets would mismatch milliseconds in global trades. So scientists programmed a fix. They adjusted the clocks before launching them, setting them to tick slightly slower, so that when they orbit, their pace aligns perfectly with Earth time. Think about that. We built machines, so sensitive, so deeply entangled with time's flow, that they had to be tuned to where they would be, not just what they would do. Your map app, your digital bank, your phone alarm that rings with atomic precision. All of it depends on the gentle warping of time, and our deep understanding of its stretch. These satellites are not just tools. They are silent dancers in Earth's gravity. each one a metronome set to the music of space-time. Now, imagine standing beneath one. You can't see it, but you know it's there, whispering seconds into the sky. Its orbit is graceful. Its heart is steady. And yet, it lives in a slightly different time than you. Isn't that beautiful? That something so distant, and cold, and silent, can still be connected to you. Through something as soft as time? It reminds you, time isn't just ticking. It's stretching, flowing, curving. Every moment you experience is slightly different than someone else's, based on where you are, how fast you move, how high you stand. Even a mountain peak is in a different time zone than the sea below it, not by hours, but by the bending of seconds. And if machines must account for this, so must we. In wonder, if not in calculation. You float gently back to Earth in your thoughts, sinking down through the sky, like a feather falling through sleep. The satellites remain above, their clocks ticking onward, silent and precise. And as you rest beneath their path, you feel something new. The world is not one rhythm. It is many rhythms, woven together into a song of subtle differences. And tonight, you are part of that song. But you wonder, if machines feel time differently, what about you? What about the clock inside your mind? The one that isn't made of atoms or gears, but of memory, emotion, and attention? What shapes your perception of time? Let's turn inward now, to the mind that measures moments in ways no machine can. You are lying still, your body soft, your breath shallow. The clocks tick on outside your window, but inside you, something quieter keeps time. Your mind. It doesn't count seconds. It feels them. You don't measure time with gears or numbers. You measure it with experience, with memory, with the rhythm of thought and the space between sensations. Think of how time shifts depending on your state. A joyful day flies by, a blur of laughter and light. But a sleepless night stretches like a tunnel with no end. Moments become hours. Each tick feels louder, each silence heavier. It's not the clock that changes. It's you. Your perception of time is not constant. It's a lens that sharpens or softens, depending on what you feel, what you expect, and what you remember. This is the psychology of time, the most personal dimension of all. Close your eyes and recall a childhood summer. You had no appointments, no alarms. Just the sun, the dust, the hum of fans and voices. Those days felt endless, didn't they? Now think of your adult years. Weeks pass in a blink. Birthdays stack like pages. You wonder, where did all that time go? The brain doesn't record time like a stopwatch. It stores events, not durations. The more memories you make, the more richly time is encoded. That's why novelty stretches time. When everything is new, your brain has more to process, more to remember. A single vacation day in a foreign city can feel longer than a week spent at your desk. Routine compresses time. Novelty expands it. Your mind does not simply live in time. It builds time, constructs it from moments and meanings. Now picture a near accident. A moment of fear. Your heart raced. The world seemed to slow. You noticed every detail. The glint of light on glass. The angle of movement. The sharp breath caught in your throat. In that moment, your perception of time dilated. Not because the external world slowed, but because your brain sped up, processing more information per second. To you, that second felt longer. Time is elastic, and your nervous system is its loom. Think now of flow. Those times you're so immersed in something that hours vanish without warning. You create. You move. You lose yourself. Time slips away. This, too, is a distortion. Not of the clock, but of consciousness. The brain uses internal cues, not just the sun's arc or a ticking watch, to tell time. It listens to your heartbeat. It tracks your movements. It watches your attention and builds a timeline from what it finds. That's why silence feels slower. That's why music can shift time's rhythm, speeding it up or slowing it down, depending on its tempo, its harmony, its mood. The brain's internal clock, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, sits just above the place where your optic nerves cross. It responds to light, to rhythm, to the rise and fall of hormones. It orchestrates your circadian rhythm, the daily cycle that governs your sleep, your hunger, your alertness. But beyond that physical clock, you carry something more subtle. A psychological clock, built from perception, memory, and emotion. Some researchers believe this clock is tied to the body itself, to the pace of your heartbeat, to your core temperature, to the gentle metronome of your steps. Others say it arises from attention. How focused you are on what is happening right now. When you're mindful, time expands. When you're distracted, it shrinks. And then there's memory, the architect of long time. When you look back at a year, you don't measure it in days. You measure it in change. Did you grow? Did something happen? Did you feel deeply? If not, that year will feel like a blur. If yes, it will glow in your mind, dense and luminous. Time, then, is not a river flowing over you. It is a garden you walk through. And your memories are the flowers. The more you notice, the more you remember. The more you remember, the fuller time becomes. Let this bring you peace. You are not losing time. You are shaping it. With your choices, your awareness, your wonder. You lie still again. Your breath slow, your thoughts gentle. And you realize your body lives in physics, but your experience lives in perception. Two clocks. Two truths. One flowing outside of you, the other flowering within. And now, you begin to wonder? If time inside the mind can stretch and twist, how do astronauts experience sleep? In the cold quiet of orbit, where there is no sunrise, no sunset, only the rhythm of machines? Let's drift up once more. Into weightlessness. Into silence. Into the delicate dreams of spacefarers. You are floating now. Not in thought, but in a place beyond the reach of sunrise. A place where day and night trade places every 45 minutes. And shadows spin like clock hands with no dial. This is orbit. And here, even sleep becomes a question. On Earth, sleep comes with cues. The fading light, the cooling air. The slow, soft pull of gravity grounding your body toward stillness. But in space, there is no up or down. No dust to cradle your eyes closed. No weight to press you gently into your pillow. No birdsong at dawn. Just the steady hum of machines. And the silent rhythm of your own breath. Here, inside the International Space Station, you drift weightless in a cocoon the size of a phone booth. Your sleeping bag is tethered to the wall. Not to support your body, but to stop it from floating into wires or ceiling fans while you rest. There is no mattress beneath you. No bed frame. You curl inside a floating pocket, wrapped in silence. And even sleep feels different. Because your body, finely tuned to Earth's embrace, no longer receives its ancient signals. There is no sunrise through the curtains. No gravity pulling your limbs into a soft sprawl. Your organs float slightly upward. Your fluids shift toward your head. Your spine stretches. Your heart doesn't work as hard. In this altered landscape, your body must guess when it's time to sleep. So astronauts simulate night. They close the shutters. They dim the cabin lights. They play recordings of white noise. A hush of static, like wind without wind. They follow strict schedules. Wearing watches synced to Coordinated Universal Time, UTC. Even though the Earth passes beneath them, they stay anchored to a made-up midnight. But sleep doesn't always come easily. Many astronauts report insomnia in their first weeks above. Some drift into dreams gently. Others wake often. Their bodies confused. Their internal clocks misaligned with the world around them. You see, sleep is ruled by rhythm. Your circadian rhythm. A 24-hour cycle shaped by light, by hormones. By the ancient story of sunrise and sunset. On Earth, your brain produces melatonin, the sleep hormone, when it senses darkness. But here, where the sun rises and sets 16 times a day, your brain doesn't know what time it is. Sometimes, astronauts wear light-filtering visors. Other times, they take melatonin supplements to help reset their clock, to tell their brain, now it is night. Now it is safe to rest. And the dreams? They're stranger, too. Some describe vivid, floating dreams. Others feel disoriented, as if their body has no anchor, drifting even in sleep. One astronaut said, "It feels like falling forever, but softly." Another said, "You're always just slightly awake." And yet, somehow, the human body adapts. Over time, even in the void, it finds its rhythm. Astronauts begin to sleep 6 to 8 hours a night. They wake. They work. They eat. They dream. Their circadian systems, with a little help, realign to a new kind of time. But they know, deeply, that it's artificial. A patchwork of habits and schedules, stitched over a sky that never truly sleeps. Now drift back inside the body. Imagine trying to rest without gravity. There's no pressure on your back. No weight in your legs. Your arms float in front of you, unless you tuck them gently under the sleeping bag straps. Your chest expands differently. Your breath feels lighter. You become aware, deeply aware, of every beat of your heart, every sound inside your body. Without gravity to ground your body, even your dreams lose direction. But perhaps that is part of the beauty. Here, in space, you sleep not beneath a ceiling, but within a cradle of stars. Outside your small capsule, Earth turns slowly below. Auroras shimmer along the poles. Clouds spiral over continents. The moon passes quietly by, watching with a patient glow. And inside, you close your eyes. Not because the sun has set, but because you choose to rest. Sleep, you realize, is not about darkness. It's about rhythm. It's about letting go. Even without gravity, you can drift. Even without a pillow, you can rest. Even without night, you can dream. And what do you dream of? Some dream of falling. Others of flying. Some dream of oceans. The only other place where bodies float in quiet suspension. Maybe, in your sleep, you dream of time itself. How it bends, how it waits, how it hushes in orbit. Maybe you dream of Earth, not as home, but as memory. A blue marble spinning through a dark cradle of silence. You float through a sleep where time means little, where minutes and hours blur, where rest feels like being unmoored from the world, but softly held by the stars. And when you wake into stillness. No alarm, no dawn chorus. Just the hum of instruments. And the steady breath of a body learning how to be human in zero gravity. As you open your eyes, you realize something quiet. Sleep may be biological. But rest is spiritual. It doesn't belong to earth. It belongs to stillness. To trust. To surrender. And now, as you drift gently back toward your own pillow on earth, you begin to wonder? If time stretches. If it bends. If it floats in space and dances in memory. Could it ever run backward? Let's fall now into a deeper question. Not of clocks, but of cause. And what happens when time turns around? You sit at the edge of your bed. The room is quiet. Your breath, slow. A moment passes, and then another. Time moves forward. Always forward. But must it? We rarely ask this question. Because the world teaches us that forward is the only way. You wake up older. You sip tea that cools. A match burns, but cannot unburn. A word spoken cannot return to your lips. But what if this flow, this arrow, isn't as fixed as it seems? Tonight, you step into the quiet halls of physics, where symmetry reigns, and time becomes more mysterious than memory. Let's begin with the fundamental laws. The deep, invisible rules that govern all things. Motion, light, force, atoms. They are equations written in the language of the cosmos. And many of them don't care about direction. They work the same whether time flows forward or backward. If you film two particles dancing and reverse the tape, the math would still hold. A physicist couldn't tell you which way was real. This is called time symmetry. A puzzling truth. That the basic ingredients of the universe don't require time to move in one direction. So why do we feel time move only forward? Why do eggs scramble, but never unscramble? The answer lies in something less about physics, and more about entropy. Entropy is a measure of disorder, of randomness, of how mixed up a system is. A cold glass of water becomes warm in a hot room. The heat spreads, the molecules mingle. But the opposite, a warm glass spontaneously becoming cold, never happens. Not because it's impossible, but because it's so unlikely. It may as well be. The universe tends toward disorder. It's not a flaw. It's a pattern. A deep statistical truth. And that is where the arrow of time comes from. We remember the past because it was less disordered, more organized, more structured. A deck of cards, perfectly sorted, can be shuffled into chaos 1,000 ways. But rarely, almost never, will it shuffle itself back. So, time feels like it moves forward. Because we experience the direction of increasing entropy. It's not that physics forces time forward. It's that the universe began, long ago, in a state of incredible order. And ever since, it has been unraveling, spreading, cooling, drifting outward like breath from parted lips. Even your body follows this law. You are a warm, organized pattern of cells, resisting disorder each day. You eat to reorder yourself. You sleep to rebuild. But slowly, over years. Even you drift. A beautiful system unwinding gently into the sea of time. Now close your eyes. Picture a broken cup on the floor. Cracked into pieces, still, silent. Could those shards leap up and reform? Yes, in theory. The laws of motion would allow it. If every molecule reversed direction at once. But it would require such precision, such cosmic choreography, that it becomes invisible in practice. This is the heart of it. Not forbidden. Just unspeakably improbable. So we live inside the probable. The warm tea that cools. The memory that fades. The letter that cannot be unread. But some physicists wonder, what if, somewhere in the cosmos, there is a place where time runs backward? A mirror universe. One that began, perhaps, where ours ends. A twin not of space, but of causality. In this universe, death might lead to birth. Decay to structure. Ashes into flame. Not science fiction, but speculative physics. A thought experiment curled around the edge of mathematics. You lie still and think of time. Not as a river, but as a loop. A closed circle, where beginnings and endings kiss. And you wonder, if time can reverse, what would that feel like? Would you remember the future? Would grief arrive before love? Would you inhale breath after speaking? It's impossible to say, because our minds, our perception, are built for forward time. Our neurons encode memories, not prophesize. We are arrows ourselves, pointing in one direction. But even here, the illusion breaks. In dreams, sometimes, you remember things that never happened. You walk backward through a house that doesn't exist. You speak to someone you haven't met yet. In dreams, time loosens. Maybe not backward, but sideways. Spiraling. Like smoke returning to a match. In a world where rules are soft. Somewhere in quantum mechanics, where particles flicker in and out of being, the boundaries of time blur further. In one interpretation, particles don't choose a direction until they're observed. Their past is only fixed when you look. So perhaps time's direction depends on awareness. On you. You breathe. And that breath is irreversible. But maybe, deep in the roots of matter, there are reversals we cannot feel. Symmetries hiding behind perception. Tonight, you are not chasing answers. Only questions. Time flows forward, but its laws do not insist on it. And that is what makes it a mystery worth dreaming about. You wonder now, if entropy is the key to time's arrow. What happens to time at the end of the universe, when everything is cold, spread thin, quiet? Let's float there next, to the end of everything, where time may not stop, but simply lose its meaning. You are floating now, not in orbit, not in memory, but in deep time, far beyond this moment, far beyond your breath, into the future the universe has yet to feel. Everything is quieter here. No planets turning. No stars pulsing. No clocks ticking. Only space. Soft, cold, endless. And a question. What happens when time runs out of things to do? It begins, as all endings do, with change slowing down. First, the stars age. Not quickly, not tragically, but with quiet dignity. They burn their fuel over billions of years, fusing hydrogen into helium, helium into heavier elements, lighting galaxies with their breath. But eventually, every flame meets its ember. The small stars die gently, becoming cold white dwarfs, hot cores cooling through eternity. The large ones collapse, exploding in final flashes, leaving behind neutron stars or black holes that wait in the dark. And when the last star flickers out, the universe enters its next chapter, the degenerate era. Not bleak, just slow. The galaxies remain, but they are dim. No more fusion, no more light, just objects coasting through gravity's soft net. Planets without suns, stars without fire, remnants of brilliance, drifting through cold. Yet even now, time still moves. Because things still change. However slowly. Black holes remain. Massive and silent. They absorb what they can. Their hunger never full. But even black holes do not last forever. Over eons uncountable. They begin to evaporate. A strange, ghostly process. Called Hawking radiation. Particles slip from their edges. As if the black hole is slowly exhaling itself. Into nothing. It takes longer than your mind can stretch. But eventually, even the largest black holes fade to silence. And now, with no stars, no planets, no black holes, only a thin mist of particles remains. Spread too far to meet. Too cold to move. Too quiet to be noticed. This is heat death. A name that sounds violent, but feels more like snowfall. Not an explosion, but a stillness. Entropy, that measure of disorder, has reached its peak. Everything is so spread out, so even, that nothing else can happen. There are no gradients, no warmth to flow, no structure to collapse. Just a perfect sameness. And in this sameness, time itself loses meaning. Because what is time? Without change? No ticking. No movement. No cause. No effect. Time is defined by difference. By the before and after. But here, in the hush, there is no before. There is no after. Only is. A flat, infinite stillness. The universe still exists. But not as story. Not as dance. Only as dust. Waiting for nothing. And yet, as you float here in your imagination, in the furthest reaches of time's silence, you wonder, is this truly an end? Or a pause so deep that it feels like forever? Some physicists wonder too. Maybe this state, this smooth, cold quiet, is not the end, but a prelude. Perhaps quantum fluctuations, those tiny, restless tremors in empty space, could someday spark a new beginning. A bubble. A burst. A new universe. Budding off from the stillness. Another Big Bang. Not born of nothing, but of everything spread too thin. You would not feel it. You would not know. Because time, in that moment, would begin again. With new particles. New stars. New clocks. A new arrow. A new unfolding. And maybe somewhere in that next world, a being sits under stars, wondering what came before. Wondering about you. But for now, you rest here, at the edge of the timeline. Not afraid. Not sad. Just still. This is not the death of time. It's its deepest breath. Its softest exhale. And it teaches you something unexpected. That endings don't need noise. That the loudest truths arrive when everything else is done speaking. You open your eyes. Still in your room. Still in your bed. But feeling the hush of the cosmos. Settled in your bones. You've traveled far. From the ticking heart in your chest. To the silent stretch of eternity. But one question still lingers. A quiet echo at the edge of your thoughts. If time stretches. If time stops. Could it ever be entangled? Could your now be connected to someone else's then? Across the universe? Let's drift next into a mystery even deeper. Where time isn't just bent, but shared. You lie still now. Suspended in softness. Wrapped in the quiet hush of what has come before. You've drifted through slowing clocks. Sleep in zero gravity. The end of time's rhythm. And yet, something pulses. A question. A shimmer. As if time itself has threads you haven't yet seen. Tonight, you follow one. Close your eyes. And imagine two tiny particles. Born together in the same moment. From the same spark. In the same place. Perhaps they emerge from a photon. Split by a beam of light. Or from a particle collision. Deep in the heart of a star. They separate. Drifting far apart. Across space, across time. But something strange holds them together. Though they are now oceans of distance away. Touch one. And the other responds. Not later. Not after light could travel between them. But now. Instantly. This is quantum entanglement. One of the strangest and most beautiful mysteries ever whispered by the universe. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. And truly, it is. Not because it breaks the rules, but because it follows a deeper one. In the quantum world, particles don't always behave like tiny balls. They behave like possibilities. Like clouds of maybe. Until observed. And when two particles are entangled, their possibilities become shared. It's as if they no longer have separate fates. They are part of the same unfolding. Measure one. And you instantly know something about the other. Even if it's on the far side of the galaxy. Not because they're communicating. Not because a signal is sent. But because they are one thing. A single, stretched out thread. Braided through the fabric of space-time. And now, what if this thread doesn't just cross space, but also time? What if entanglement stretches not only across distance, but across moments? Some scientists wonder if quantum connections might someday allow us to link nows together. Not to send messages into the past, but to suggest that the flow of time might be more tangled than we think. That maybe your future already lives somewhere in your present. That maybe memory isn't the only thing reaching backward. Maybe curiosity is time's hand reaching forward. Entanglement doesn't give us time travel. Not in the way movies dream of. But it does challenge our deepest belief that cause must always precede effect. In the quantum world, some events don't even decide until they're observed. Sometimes, the effect seems to help choose the cause. It's as if reality waits to be asked. And time waits to be noticed. You breathe in now. Slow, deep. Feeling not just your heartbeat, but the presence of something larger. You, too, are made of entangled particles. Born from stardust. From atoms once joined in long-dead suns. And perhaps there are still echoes inside you. Connections not yet seen. Maybe a single photon in your eye is entangled with one on the far side of the universe. Maybe your life ripples backward and forward, leaving imprints in both directions. Entanglement teaches you that separateness is a story, a useful one, but not the only one. And time? Time may be less like a road, more like a woven fabric. Not straight, but stitched, folded, layered, alive with quiet connections. You think now of someone you love, but haven't spoken to in years. And you wonder, what thread still binds you? Not just emotionally, not just in memory, but physically, subatomically, beneath the layers of your awareness. You can't feel it. But perhaps, in some soft quantum way, a part of you still shimmers when they laugh. Not because of magic, but because everything that ever touched still holds a trace of its entanglement. You drift now. Weightless again. Not through space. Not through dreams. But through connection. A quiet awareness. That time may not just move. It may echo. And maybe, just maybe, that echo is what you hear. In moments of déjà vu. In intuition. In wonder. You don't need to understand it fully. You only need to feel it. The universe is not made of separate moments, but of entangled truths. Some hidden. Some waiting. And somewhere in those threads, your story is still unfolding. Quietly connected. To a million others. As you settle deeper into sleep, you feel it. The softest thought. That time is not just something that passes. It's something that listens. And perhaps, you are being listened to now. You are here now. Not in the stars. Not in deep space. Not in the quiet breath of black holes or the flicker of atoms. Just here. In your bed. Listening. Breathing. Being. You have traveled far through time. Not as a machine, but as a witness. A mind suspended in the slow unraveling of hours. Curious enough to follow time's thread. Into the very shape of the universe. But now, we return to the most important clock of all. You. Not your wristwatch. Not your phone. But the rhythm you carry within you. Your time. Your lifetime. Feel your chest rise. Your lungs draw in air. That breath is a moment. Only you will ever live. And in that breath, entire galaxies are drifting apart. Cells are dividing. Atoms are vibrating. Somewhere, a star is being born. Somewhere else, one has gone out. The universe continues. But you are here. To notice it. That's the miracle. You do not just exist in time. You are made of it. Each cell in your body tells a story. Of something that once was. An ancient star. A plant that caught sunlight. A river that carried minerals. And now, those pieces move with you. Through your own chapter of the cosmos. Your heart is a metronome. Beating out the seconds. Yet your memories hold a different kind of clock. One that stretches, loops, forgets, lingers. You are two kinds of time. Biological and emotional. Physics and feeling. And both are real. You remember the first time you felt time stop. Maybe it was love. Maybe it was loss. Maybe it was just the hush of a morning. When everything stood still. That was time, too. Your time. Personal. Precious. True. Tonight, let yourself see your life not as a list of dates. Or ticking deadlines. But as a soft, luminous wave. Moving through time's ocean. You were born. A singular moment. In the vast theater of stars and cells. You've grown. You've wondered. You've changed. And each change has sent ripples into the world. Seen or unseen. A kind word that softened someone's day. A decision that shaped your path. A silence that allowed something else to speak. Your time has touched others. Even when you didn't know it. Even now. Think of how many seconds you've lived. How many sunrises your body has survived. How many breaths. How many steps. How many unnoticed moments. And yet, somehow, you're here. Awake in time. Aware of its passing. That awareness is a gift the stars do not have. A star does not know it is dying. A river does not know it is flowing. But you know you are passing through time. And that makes your presence a kind of light. So what will you do with your time? You don't need to rush, or achieve, or measure yourself by clocks you didn't build. You only need to show up to your own life as the quiet miracle it already is. Sometimes, time will feel fast. Sometimes, it will feel like a weight. Sometimes, it will whisper back your memories like echoes. But always, it will be yours. No one else can live your timeline. No one else can breathe your breaths. No one else can carry the exact rhythm that hums behind your heartbeat. And when your time one day softens, when your clock slows, and your body returns its particles to the earth, you'll have left something behind. Not things, not noise, but presence. Moments, imprints, gentle disturbances in time's surface. The way a breeze leaves patterns on a lake. You are not a passenger in time. You are part of its unfolding. You are a verse in time's poem. So sleep tonight. Not as someone racing toward the future, but as someone resting in the flow. Feel your body sinking into stillness. Feel your breath winding down. Time will continue. The stars will keep drifting. Photons will keep traveling. Atoms will keep dancing. But you are allowed to stop, to rest, to simply exist. And maybe, in that stillness, you'll feel it again. The softness between seconds. The hush between heartbeats. The knowing that your time has always mattered. From the first moment to the last sigh. And even after. Because in a universe where time stretches across black holes and echoes between entangled particles, the most astonishing thing is that you are aware of it at all. Your story is not just written in time. It adds to time. Your very being shapes the fabric. And that is worth dreaming about. So let go now. Let time carry you gently, like water cradling a leaf. There's nowhere else to be. There's nothing left to chase. You are inside the final clock now, and it is ticking softly, just for you.